All right, it's Monday on the East Coast here in the afternoon. Wanted to do a little video to wrap up week 6 and then get us into week 7. Let's see, week 6, as I've been saying, is a culmination of 3 weeks that are really important in the course because it's when we sort of make sure that you know all the technical stuff about financial reporting. And I just completed your Monotony Part 3 assignments, graded them all, returned them to you, and it seems like you've come through with flying colors. All of you got it right, that Monotony has liquidity problems, and those liquidity problems are making it so that they maybe can't pay their bills. Right, because they have days in working cash has gone negative. Their profit margin has gone down from 4 to 1, and I guess it's back up to 2 a little bit. But they're not making a lot of money, so they're not going to be able to replenish their cash position by just taking profits each year and putting them into cash. So they're in a bind. Most of you all got that. The one thing that separates, frankly, the papers was your understanding of how they got to the position that they are in. And that's where looking back at the financial statements helps you figure that out. And so I'm going to hold it up here, there. Okay, you can see it, right? And I've circled at the top there. Back in 1995 to 96, they made a decision, right, and somehow their cash is gone. What happened to the cash? They used to have 143,000 in 1995, and then the next year they only got 32,000. What happened? Well, one of you explicitly said, well, the amount of cash went down by almost the exact amount that the property and equipment went up. Notice that property and equipment was at 315 and then it went up to 411. And so if you read the whole narrative, right, what happened, it seemed, is that Monotony took their cash, bought $100,000 worth of property and equipment, and hopefully that was going to lead to increased services and increased revenues. Notice down here on the revenue line that between 95 and 96 there is a jump, $30,000 or so in increased revenues, but it's the next year when they have all of their equipment actually operational for the full year that they get a big jump in revenues. So the thought here is that they took the cash, bought the property and equipment, expanded services to maximize mission, but then what happened? The bottom fell out, sort of. Because, as many of you noted, the administrative expenses went up probably disproportionate, and so their expenses went way up. So they continued to try to increase their property and equipment. You'll see here it goes up yet again from 411 to 488. Right? Do I have that right? I'm sorry, 468. We're up here. And then it goes to 480. And while they're still increasing their property and equipment, maybe to try to grow out of their problems, yes, they take on the credit line. And then, because they don't have any more cash, they can't really spend down anymore. They hardly have any left. And you'll see down here then, where do we have the interest expense? Yeah, the interest expense starts to take off on them because they have more debt. And I just kind of threw in that maybe interest rates went up. Who knows? But at any rate, all of you got the gist at the end, right? That the expenses are going up, the revenues are remaining flat, and now we have the problem that the local economy has gone south, and the people they're serving may not be able to pay their bills. And so even though Monotony on paper is making a profit because of the money that's owed them, they may not actually get it all, and they may just be totally down the tubes. Okay? But the point is that initially they were trying to maximize mission by expanding and providing more services, but they sacrificed their cash position to do that. And once they kind of got their liquidity position down, they were sunk because they had no wiggle room when the financial storm came, despite their best intent. Okay? So, and with some of you, I gave you a little paragraph, which I called a model answer. It's really not a model answer, but it's a very quick overview of sort of the story that the financial data tells. And if one of your students will allow me, I'm going to share that student's paper with you, which was just phenomenal. As I said on the paper, I've maybe graded 200-300 of these assignments, cumulatively over a couple of years, having taught this course at a couple of different schools and used this assignment at a couple of different schools, I should say. I don't think I ever got a better paper. So I hope I get to share that with you. Okay? So moving on then to week 7. Right. We're going to spend a couple of weeks on budgeting. Budget as a process, as a product, and as a management tool. Sorry for my phone giving that whistle. And at the beginning of the lesson, right, we just talk about where we are in the course. The two big things we've covered so far, right, is the importance of liquidity, and we see that again and again and again in this course. And then we talk about those 4 pillars of financial management systems, good financial management systems. One was the organizational structure, one was policy and procedures, one is record keeping, and the fourth is, having, what's the word I'm looking for? Yes, there it is. Synergistic and complementary financial and operational strategies, right? And we'll have a case study this week, New Stage Theater. And when you read it, look for how each of these 4 elements is missing or done really, really poorly. It's just, a classic case study of how everything can go wrong, and it does, and why they're in such deep water financially. Okay? The actual the rest of the formal presentation talks about, right, budget as process, product, and management tool. So I won't go into that here. I'll just again alert you to the fact that there is another assignment this week, fairly pedestrian, mechanical budgeting assignment, and there's a separate PowerPoint presentation that helps you get through that. Okay, I guess that's all. If you have any questions, again, please call. I did see a note from one student that said, you didn't answer my question, so I just faked it on the assignment here. The student did fine, but as I always say, if I'm not being responsive, give a call. You got the number, don't you, right? Do you know it by heart yet? I hope so. Boop. Okay? All right, thanks.